Out of the Blue, Episode 9, the Unmarked Trail. This is a story about Frances, a white dove who discovers that trust is not pretending fear is gone or trying to reason herself into feeling safe. On an unmarked mountain trail, she learns that when she stops feeding the problem and gives spirit the whole situation, even uncertainty can become useful. Frances did not like the look of the mountain. Clouds covered the summit. The trail below twisted between rocks and disappeared into mist. A wooden sign stood at the entrance. The Unmarked Trail. No map beyond this point. Frances stared at it. No map? A mountain goat named Hugo was tightening the strap on a small pack. You'll be fine. I am fine, Frances said quickly. Her stomach tightened. I'm completely fine. Hugo looked at her. You're gripping that sign with both feet. Frances looked down. Oh, she released it. I'm just being sensible. A cold gust swept through the pass. Frances swallowed. Then she tried another approach. There is nothing to fear because statistically speaking, the trail is probably safe, and fear is merely a reaction based on... Hugo raised one eyebrow. What? You stopped pretending you weren't afraid and started giving fear a lecture. Frances sighed. Neither felt peaceful. One voice said, push it down. The other said, figure it out. Both kept her attention fixed on fear. Frances looked into the mist. Then what is trust? Hugo shrugged. Let's walk. That's your answer? It's the next step. Frances followed. The trail soon divided. There were no signs, no arrows, no painted markers. Frances immediately began analyzing. The left path looks wider, which usually means a blue butterfly drifted toward the right. Hugo turned right. You're following a butterfly? No. What are you following? The quiet. Frances listened. The right path felt strangely simple. No argument. No rush. They continued. Soon Frances heard rushing water. Her mind immediately started. What if the bridge is gone? What if the river is too high? What if... She stopped. There was the chase again. She closed her eyes. I don't need to pretend this feeling isn't here. The tightness remained. I also don't need to solve it. Something softened. When they reached the river, the old bridge had indeed washed away. Frances stared at Hugo. My fear was right. Was it? The bridge is gone. Yes. And that's a problem. Hugo pointed upstream. A fallen tree stretched safely across the narrowest part of the river. Frances laughed. The bridge is gone, but the crossing isn't. They crossed. Farther along, rain began. Frances almost complained. Then she noticed the rain revealing footprints in the dusty trail ahead. A family of deer had passed there recently. The prints led around a dangerous rock slide. Helpful rain, Frances said. Hugo smiled. Later they met a hiker coming down the mountain. Don't take the western ridge, he warned. Lightning damaged the path. Another helpful sign. Then a hawk circled over a sheltered valley. Another. A bell sounded faintly from a cabin ahead. Another. Frances began to see what Hugo meant. Trust did not require her to know the entire route. It changed what everything could be used for. A stranger, a storm, a delay, a fallen tree, a bird in the sky. None of these had to prove the world was safe. They could simply serve the next step. At midday, they rested beneath a cedar. Frances felt another wave of uneasiness. This time she did not announce, I'm okay. She did not interrogate the feeling. She let it be present without making it her guide. What happens if this fear never goes away? She asked. Hugo chewed thoughtfully on a leaf. Do you need that question answered before you can sit under this tree? Frances laughed. No. Then perhaps that question can wait. She leaned against the trunk. The mountain was quiet. Trust felt almost clueless. No grand certainty, no internal speech declaring victory, just the end of the chase. Frances realized she had spent enormous energy rehearsing misery in advance. If she could explain fear, justify fear, or prepare for fear, she felt temporarily in control. But she had been feeding the very thing she wanted released. She closed her eyes. Spirit, I give you the whole thing. Not 90%. Not everything except the outcome she preferred. The whole thing. When she opened her eyes, nothing dramatic had changed. Clouds still covered the summit. Her feathers were still damp. The trail was still unmarked. Yet something inside was no longer divided. They continued upward. By late afternoon, the mist opened. The summit was not far away. Frances looked back. From above, she could see the winding trail, the butterfly, the river, the fallen tree, the deer tracks, the hiker, the sheltering cedar. What had seemed like unrelated circumstances now formed one continuous journey. Everything helped, she whispered. Hugo nodded. When spirit has the whole journey, the world gets a different job. Frances smiled. It no longer had to guarantee her safety. It could become useful. Every face, every circumstance, every seeming interruption. Nothing required a crusade. Nothing had to be conquered before freedom arrived. The next step was here. The trust was here. The peace was here. Frances opened her wings and rose through the thinning clouds. No map, no promise about tomorrow, no demand that fear explain itself. Only a wholehearted willingness to be guided now out of the blue. May we sing, rest, and dance our way home together.